Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Handlebar Ventures. In today's episode, I'm going to review and compare the best way to track your mountain bike rides. I'm going to go for a ride tomorrow morning wearing 3 different GPS devices to track my ride. I'm going to be using the new Garmin Speed Sensor 2 connected to my Garmin Fenix 5X smartwatch. I'm going to use my Samsung Galaxy S22 smartphone, as well as the Garmin Fenix 5X watch just by itself. I have both Garmin Fenix 5X watches set up on GPS plus Galileo satellites so that they will be equivalent. And I also have my smartphone set up to GPS location high accuracy to get the best results for this test. So I'm going to track using those 3 methods and compare the data afterwards. Personally, I've been struggling to get consistent GPS data. Where I typically ride in Little Gunpowder State Park is in a valley and has a dense tree canopy overhead. So the GPS data has just been inaccurate. So I'm hoping the speed sensor will help, or perhaps the smartphone is the best way. So I just want to do a comparison to let you all know if you're struggling with this as well. Hopefully this helps you out. So I'm going to do a quick unboxing of the Garmin Speed Sensor 2, show you how to set it up on your bike. I'm going to go for a ride tomorrow morning with all 3 devices, and I'll compare the data afterwards and walk you through the results. If you don't need to see how the Speed Sensor 2 is set up or care for the unboxing, please use the chapters below, just skip ahead. See you there. Okay, let's unbox it. This is the Garmin Speed Sensor 2. I got it off Amazon for 35 bucks, shipped to the door in 2 days, so you can't really beat that. No tape holding everything in, which is kind of nice, easy to open up. Important safety and product info. Instructions. We don't need those. We'll figure it out, hopefully. Pretty well protected. And this is it. So this just wraps around your hub like such, and as it rotates, see, it just woke up as I rotated it there. And this counts the number of revolutions, and then you need to either manually input or you can allow it to auto calculate. I'll probably just manually input what the circumference of my tires are, and then in that uses number of rotations multiplied by the circumference to get you your speed and distance. So let's try to set this up. So I'm gonna go into my Garmin Fenix watch, go to MTB, go to MTB settings, or settings, not MTB settings, sensors and active accessories, add new. We're going to add a speed and cadence sensor. So now it's searching for the sensor. So it's important to note that I think you need to wake this Garmin sensor up by rotating it for it to actually be found. So there we go. Speed sensor, select to add. So now it's been connected. That seemed very, very easy. That took probably 30 seconds at most. There it is, right there. Status connected. You can enter your wheel size right there. About, the name, connection type, and there's an option to remove it. So let's go measure the wheel size of my bike. So you can see there's auto and manual. Auto will sort of calculate it based on your GPS data, but we don't want to do that because my GPS data has been pretty inaccurate. So we're going to use manual mode, and then you can change the numbers around here. So let's go measure that. We'll go down to the basement and we'll measure it on my actual bike. So I'm going to put the Garmin Speed Sensor 2 on my Specialized Epic Evo. The reason I'm putting it on the front tire is that is the tire that I'm least likely to lock up or skid or spin. So I think I would get the most accurate reading putting the speed sensor on the front tire. It's very easy to put on. You just use 2 hands, one to hold the sensor, the other hand to pull the strap around, and you latch it on, and it doesn't seem like it's going to rattle around or shake or cause any noise or anything, so it seems to be very secure. And this is on a DT Swiss 350 hub. So if you have that hub, should be absolutely no issues. What I'm going to do next is measure the circumference of the tire. Make sure we have enough space here. All the way around, and we're good. So make sure you have enough space to really roll your tire all the way around. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to pick a reference point to line this up. So pick a spot where your tire is on the ground, like right here. So the tire's on the ground right next to the barcode on my side of my wheel. And I'm gonna use this tread right before, or I guess it will be right after the barcode, after it spins around, as a reference point. If you need an easier point, just put a little mark with a Sharpie, or even put a little piece of painter's tape or something like that on the tire tread that you're measuring from. But for me, this is gonna work. So I will now take the wheel and roll it right along the edge of the tape measure, making sure to go as straight as possible. If you wave the wheel around and go in a bit of a curve, it's not going to be as accurate as you would like it to be. So made a full circle. We're back to this same tire tread, and we're going to call it 90 7/8. So just shy of 91 inches. And I'll convert that to millimeters, and I'll input that into my watch, and you'll see that next. Okay, so now we're going to take the measurement that we just took, 90.875 inches, which is 7/8, to millimeters. And Google pretty much calculates it for you before you even type it in. So we're at 2,308 millimeters, and we'll now input that into the watch. So we'll go back to MTB. Oops. Hold down the middle button to get the settings. We will go down to our sensors and accessories. Scroll all the way down to the speed sensor. And then we will manually input the number. So 2, 3. And then change this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2308 millimeters. Easy as that. And we'll give this a name. So we'll call it Chris Speed Sensor, in case someone else gets one and they get mismatched. You'll be able to pair it on the watch and know by your name being on it that it is your speed sensor, not someone else's. All right, what's up, everyone? About to start the ride. I got my phone. Watch on my left wrist, it's going to be connected to the speed sensor. Watch on my right wrist, it's just going to be running by the GPS itself. I'll compare the results after the ride. See you then. All right, so let's take a look at the data. First, starting with the watch, which I've been using to track my rides for quite some time now. The distance traveled, 12.68 miles. As we review the rest of these, you'll notice that the moving time for each is different. However, I took into account the total ride time, which disregards the auto pause function that Strava is working into this mile per hour data. I'll share that after reviewing this. Next, we have just the phone, the Samsung Galaxy S22 using Strava to record the ride. We got a total of 14.01 miles. And finally, we have the watch and the speed sensor, totaling 14.77 miles. This was the highest of all three methods. And I think this is due to the speed sensor being able to capture all of the tight turns that are common in most mountain bike trails. Here you can see all three tracking methods compared side by side. In the video description, I'll link all three of these so you can compare in more detail if there's anything that I might have missed from this video. So the results to me were actually pretty surprising. I thought that the phone would have the least amount of miles, the watch would come somewhere in between, and the speed sensor would definitely be the best. However, the phone was actually pretty close to just the speed sensor. The elevation between the watch and speed sensor and the phone was very comparable as well. The watch that I was using for just GPS is my brother's watch. That has been known to catch more elevation than what you're actually riding. So you can kind of disregard that from the previous data that we just looked at. So we'll just focus on the distance for this. The phone versus the speed sensor was about 5% less. The watch versus the speed sensor was actually 14% less, so quite a bit. So every 100 miles that you're riding, you're missing 14 if you're just recording with a watch. Speed difference, almost a mile an hour, actually a little bit over a mile an hour difference from the watch to the watch versus speed sensor. A little bit difference between the phone and speed sensor. But that's not really the main reason why I wanted to do this. The main reason was just to get consistent results, so I know if my fitness is improving or degrading over time, or just being able to compare versus previous rides. That's one of the great features of Strava. Is just being able to look back and see how fast you were going on this previous segment, or how fast you were going over 20 miles or whatever. Just be able to get consistent data. I think the speed sensor is definitely the way to go. I also think that the speed sensor helps with auto pause. Throughout this ride, I didn't use auto pause, so that's why the ride time is so long, or Strava was trying to calculate the actual moving time differently for each of the three recording methods. I think being able to enable auto pause on the rides is going to be great. There's been times where I try to stop the watch because I'm taking a break or chit chatting with someone, and I forget to start the watch or whatever happens. But I think using the watch and speed sensor, or even your phone with a speed sensor, is definitely the way to go. So for $35 to get consistent GPS tracking data, you get all those miles that you've been missing out on, it's the way to go. So is there anything that I missed in this review? Anything that I might have overlooked? Let me know your thoughts. Are you going to put a speed sensor on your bike? Are you already using one? Are you using an Edge bike computer or Wahoo or something similar? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Get out there and tear it up.